And thank you everyone for joining in from again different time zones. I appreciate your time here. And again, there's a lot of material on this topic. I mean, you can always search and find a ton of white papers, definitions and what have you. But I think what is missing and what I can add value to is really a practical application of these things, and also seeing almost 15 plus years of different companies and working in different companies in this area. There is a lot of I think scoping that I did for this presentation, and that's I think really the the value add that I will be able to contribute. Just a quick about me. Again, I have various certifications from being a master black belt in Lean Six Sigma. I'm also a scaled agile framework POPM. I'm also a lead auditor in ISO 13485, and I am a UCSD Lean Six Sigma instructor, University of San Diego, California. And I've authored a small handbook called Continuously Improve to Continuously Innovate, where I designed a simple and scientific problem-solving framework to really understand the Lean Six Sigma concepts a little more easier. But I think that is a very basic, handbook for people who are really beginning to understand Lean Six Sigma and operational excellence. And I have double masters. I have two masters, one from Australia and one from Michigan. And my career best, and then again, a shout out to my my first manager at my career best role, Cindy Harwell. She's on the call, so I really appreciate her being here. It was my career best was working on the high-paced ventilator ramp-up quality initiative during COVID, and it was something that was high-paced, tight deliveries, large team, a lot of handoffs, and how we came out of it. If you see the core of it, we really use the principles of Lean Six Sigma and problem solving. And I think that is what actually motivates me more when I look forward and trying to really use what I've learned from my career. So let's dive right in. The agenda of today's seminar or webinar are, again, it's all around operational excellence. We'll talk about, what are the pillars to build the operational excellence with a house of lean example. We'll also talk about handling resistance in companies. When you start to kind of transform your organization, you will hit some roadblocks. And how do you handle that? And also, again, as we go core into the operational excellence, we look at Lean Six Sigma problem-solving principles. That is also the core to all these IT companies, developing agile and scaled agile frameworks and all of these new, they call it technologies or frameworks and methodologies, techniques, philosophies, but all of these are actually based from the Lean Six Sigma. And then at the end, some takeaways and the next steps. Starting with operational excellence. Again, there are different definitions, but it is really a culmination, a combination of different things. And operational excellence is a consequence of it. And again, the word excellence is there, and the word operational is there. Operations or operational is really everything that you do and being excellent at it. How can that be a consequence of an integration of different things, right? That's what is operational excellence is all about. And this first slide kind of gives you a brief understanding of the beliefs and the behaviors. Excuse me, I've been a little under the weather, so please bear my coughs in between. The principles or the foundation, for the beliefs and the behaviors that drive operational excellence are respect, system thinking, a holistic thinking, really, excuse me. Respect for your colleagues, of course, right? Respect at work, respect in how you really raise your hand and talk about things, and also accept others, listen to others. System thinking, which is more like holistic thinking. Instead of thinking just you in the picture, understand your contribution to the big picture. What is that link that links to you, and also when you hand off your work, where is it going? So understand that system thinking, create and identify value. What is the business value and how are you contributing to it? If you understand that principle, then you are really working towards operational excellence. Oh my God, excuse me. Data driven. I always talk about data and the process being the two main areas where you can identify challenges, how you can go and really solve them later and contribute towards operational excellence. So data, right? Scientific thinking, being able to experiment helps you to innovate. And take self-accountability. How can I self-organize? How can I improve my capabilities? And how can I take self-accountability so I can contribute to operational excellence? And finally, a value-driven purpose for the whole organization. Again, we will dive into a little more deeper in the next slide. And please feel free to raise your hand in the chat box or write your questions, and then we can take up as we go or really address them at the end. So operational excellence, again, we looked at the principles, but in terms of trying to define what is operational excellence, it is really a customer-centric integration of your people, performance, and processes. So these three elements really make up a customer-centric enterprise. And if you understand the deeper levels within each of these categories, people is, leadership behaviors, and how do you translate that to your frontline soldiers? Do you provide psychological safety to your employees so that they can raise their hand and actually speak their minds and speak up their problems or challenges? And what training do you provide to those people? And within performance, how do you perform? How do you measure your performance? And do you continuously improve as an organization? And then anything that translate with the given steps from A to B is a process, a business process. And how do you manage those processes? How do you know that those are actually creating value, right? So that is managed within like a quality management system or a management system. So all these, three different elements, people, performance, processes, if they're all designed and come together as a customer-centric strategy, then your consequence is going to be your operational excellence. So this is my definition of operational excellence, where you understand your people, your performance, and then your processes, and have a method, have a philosophy, or have a framework to integrate them successfully. Then you're really walking towards achieving that excellence in your operations. Okay. All right. So the next, again, I'm trying to go deeper into the core of your operational excellence. And the second level is really understanding how your enterprise is built and how can you integrate those three elements, the people, performance, and the third one, people, performance, and the processes, right? So for that, the best, I think, philosophy I can give you is called a house of late. If you understand this house, and then once you understand this, you'll be able to understand how these things can actually get integrated to support your purpose of your company. So on the top of this house, okay, just imagine a basic house. On the top, the roof of this house is really the value-driven purpose of your organization. What is your organization's vision and mission, right? What is their value-driven purpose? And also, if you're trying to transform your organization, what is your purpose to transform? If you can define that, that will be your roof. And the pillars that support, the first pillar that supports is the process improvements. Are you an organization that support process improvements in your organizations? And how do you do it? And the next pillar is, what are the capabilities of your employees that supports that process improvements and in turn supports the roof? And the next pillar is your leadership behaviors. What do they understand as a way of communication? How do they carry the culture on their shoulders? How do they translate their energies into motivation for their teams? I think that is like another pillar that supports your roof, again, your value-driven purpose. And the fourth pillar is called the management system. Again, we have seen people, performance, and processes. And if you kind of go a little more deeper, these are the four main pillars that support your roof. Process improvements, culture, right? Capabilities, what are the training and capabilities of your of your employees? What are the leadership behaviors on the top and going down at each and every level? And what is your management system that integrates all of these into your processes? And then finally, the foundation that supports is the culture, the mindset, and the environment. What kind of a culture do you have in your company? Is it a motivating culture, or is it sales driven, or is it action driven, or is it quality driven? Is it actually customer value driven? Those things really become the foundation of this house. And once you lay these out, then you're really transforming your organization from your current state to your future state. So understanding the purpose becomes your first and most important step on the roof. And then your culture is your foundation. And how do you support that is through these four pillars: the process improvements, capabilities, leadership behaviors, and management systems. And once you put this framework on any of your organizations, you'll be able to understand that my capabilities pillar is weak. Oh, I need to invest in training. My process improvements pillar is weak because I don't have capabilities. I have capabilities, but somehow I'm not able to do my process improvements on a daily basis. So you go and address that pillar. So each pillar has to stand strong. And once any pillar is weak, then it becomes a challenge to really support that roof, right? So how do you design your enterprise with these kind of values so that you support and build a stronger house, a stronger enterprise that in turn helps you to be excellent in your operation? So that's really what is operational excellence. And the first thing that you'll see in this change process is really resistance. I don't want to change. I don't want to get trained because this doesn't apply to me. I don't want to be that process improvement guy. I am the leader of this organization. I'm a dominance personality, and I'm going to put my feet strong. And I just don't want to listen to you. Those are some leadership behaviors, and all these things are really, they all come under resistance. And that is what I'm trying to answer here. Is there's a really good model called Nostr model, which explains what kind of bottleneck will you have when the change management is not handled carefully. And these are different columns. Again, you have a vision, right? You have a purpose, and then you have your skill set, capabilities. You have your incentives programs within your HR, and then your resources, which is human resource, technology, or what have you, and then your action plan. If all of these are in line, then you will hit the success. But say you don't have an action plan. The first thing that is going to happen is false starts. You're not going to really get there successfully because you don't have an action plan. So you have to have an action plan when you're trying to start this change management of your business transformation strategy. Say if you don't have resources, you have short of resources, burnout, that will lead to your frustration of your employees. If you don't have an incentive plan, immediately people will go, what is in it for me? If there's nothing, then how can I really be motivated to contribute to that common goal, right? And then if you don't have the skills, okay, I'm not capable enough. I don't know how to do problem solving. I don't know, I'm not good at coding, or you're put as a manager, but you're not good at your technical aspects of it. Then there is anxiety within that project to be successful. And then finally, if you don't have a vision, and if you have a vision, can you communicate that vision? And if you don't communicate it successfully, then you have confusion. So these are really the resistant points within your organization, and you have to be able to manage them as a strategy from the beginning of your transformation. And the next model is called a Virginia Saturn model, and this really gives you how the change happens in time. You have an old status quo all the way on the left, and then the change is implemented, meaning today your leaders will come and say, from today on, we will have to be participating in a training program. We have to get some black belts and green belts in the organization, and you have to support that and also do some projects in addition to your daily work. Immediately, resistance happen. I don't have time for this. My team doesn't have time for it. Oh, the customer is angry and I need to address that first. I cannot really sit in a training program 4 hours a day. But as you really move through that resistance, there will be a chaos, and then they will start to integrate it, because it takes the whole organization to see the vision, accept it, embrace it, and then be able to do that. And that takes time. And that is the most important thing, which is the patience in your change management. And I've seen I've implemented a lot of training programs in different companies, and this exactly fits how people react. And the time may be different for different organizations, depending on the maturity of the organization, depending on how the company actually communicated it, or depending on the commitment from all the managers, but this the levels is still the same. The time may be a little different, but patience is what we need, and also a vision that is achievable, and the company is able to translate that with the right words and right communication. All right, so the next, we are going towards a lot more core of the operational excellence, and the next biggest topic is the Lean Six Sigma. And I'm a master black belt in Lean Six Sigma, and I've been in the industry for 15 years, worked in like medical devices, commercial manufacturing, aerospace. I've also worked in IT and banking. And again, I feel that this is the missing link in a lot of companies. People still haven't started on this journey. And if you start today, the results are not going to be immediate. It's going to be a few more years where you will start to see how this will help you grow and take it from one company to another if you start to move to another company, right? But it is really your skill set, your attitude, your character building, your capability building. And this is what is needed for almost all the organizations out there to be able to be better problem solvers, and at the end, contribute to the big picture of operational excellence. And today I'll try to introduce it to you with an example at the end. So there's two parts to it. One is Lean, one is Six Sigma. Again, some of you might already be familiar with this, but Lean comes from the Toyota manufacturing, in the early 40s, right after like World War. And then Six Sigma came from Motorola in the early 80s. And Lean is all about removing waste from the system. And we'll look at what waste actually means. But Lean, the term Lean is all about removing the waste from the system. And waste is anything that does not add value. And when the waste stays longer in your organization, it becomes heavier and heavier. I always give this example, the more gifts the Santa can take off his shoulder, he can fly higher. Similarly, the more waste you can actually take out, the organization will be able to innovate more. So that is what all Lean about. And Lean, again, follows like 5 different principles. If you were to design a process, or if you design a team or an organization, they follow certain principles, starting with creation of the value, mapping the value stream, creating a flow in your process, and also establishing a pull and seeking perfection. And we'll look at one of these examples, in a doctor visit example in a few slides here. But these are like 5 principles that if you understand, then you can apply it in any any workplace, any team, any domain. And then what are those wastes? And I always give this two different acronyms. One is downtime, one is Tim Woods, but I mean, I have it here as downtimes, D for defects, O for overproduction, W for waiting. You know, if you're waiting in line, that's a waste, right? Non-utilized talent, meaning you have a really skillful programmer, but you are not utilizing his talent to help solve quality issues, right? That is a waste. Transport, you have to move the product a lot more, with a forklift, for example, in your inventory management. That's an issue. Or transport can be where a form goes to different people for approvals. That is a lot of transportation, so that is a waste. Inventory excess, when you manufacture more and you have an inventory which is too excess to what the customer needs are. Excuse me. Manual movement, a person at the checkout, if they are doing a lot of manual movement, that is a waste, right? And extra processing, meaning if you need just a silver plating and if you want to do a gold plating and give it to your customer, that's a waste. So these are different kinds of waste, and there are different tools out there that help you remove one of these wastes. And we'll talk about it in the next few slides. So we looked at Lean. The second part is Six Sigma. And Six Sigma is basically a zero defects process design. How do you design a process so that if I go and take a sample of 10 from 100, all of those 10 will pass my test? For example, there are a ton of flights flying all the time, like millions of flights. When I take, say, a sample of 5 flights in the year 2022, random 5 flights, did they crash or not? Oh, none of those 5 flights crashed. So that is a Six Sigma process design. And how do you achieve that design is really through a framework called define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. And there's a lot more details on this, but really defining a problem, right? And then how do you measure that your problem can be improved? Like, what is your current state? What is your future state? And what are you trying to improve? Can you measure it? Right. So there's a full framework how you can design your process so you can have a zero defect process design. And the framework is called DMAIC, DMAIC. So this is what is Six Sigma all about. And Lean and Six Sigma have something called a toolkit. There's a lot of tools, and these are really common sense tools. These are not like something rocket science that, oh my God, it's too intimidating to use and so on. But once you understand each one of these, and apply them, you will be an expert in problem solving. And I will try and give you one example. And by the way, by color, the top one is the define phase, the light green is the measure phase, and then you have your analyze and improve and control, right? And there are different tools. Again, there's many more tools. I could only list some here, but we'll look at one of the tools here. Again, time permitted. I want to really go deeper into at least one tool so you understand the impact of the Lean Six Sigma. But there are different tools in the Lean Six Sigma methodology. So we'll look at a tool called value stream mapping. And this is like one of the easiest tools and the most powerful tool to understand a problem statement or to visualize a process and really understand how you can go and actually find an opportunity to solve a problem. And it is a visual tool to analyze, design, document, and manage all the value add and non-value add from start to finish. And we'll really look at it with a doctor's visit example. So before we start, again, operational excellence, we looked at pillars, right? And then we are looking at the Lean Six Sigma toolkit. And within that toolkit, we're looking at one tool called value stream mapping. And this is the example. So if you are a patient, you start from home, you drive your car 20 minutes, and then you are an old person with a walking stick. So you park your car, you walk 10 minutes, you finally reach the building, you take the elevator, and then you go and you have to check in for like 5 minutes at the check-in station, and then you go sit. And then you go sit and wait. Finally, you've been called by the nurse, and then you go meet your doctor for 5 minutes. When you're done meeting with the doctor, you go back to the elevator, you walk back to the parking lot, you drive back home again another 20 minutes, and then finally you reach home. So this is called a doctor visit kind of layout or a value stream map. So you see the start to end. And there's, by the way, there's different kinds of value stream mapping out there, and they're too intimidating. So this example is a brilliant one to understand an easy way of really putting a layout. And this can be done on a basic napkin. You can just write down the process and how long it takes. And here, the material flow is, how is the customer flowing, right? And then you have your timestamp, your 20-minute, 10-minute, 5-minute. And you also know the start to end lead time. How long did it take for me to come back home after the doctor visit, the total time. And it gives you your information flow, your material flow, and also be able to calculate the lead time. And then from there, what is the only value add that you have is your doctor visit, the time you spend with the doctor. That's your 5 minutes. And then you can start, everything that is in pink is your opportunity for your improvement. And you then start to calculate your process efficiency. I'm 5% efficient with this doctor visit example that we have. And then you have a small team of people who are trying to improve the process. How can I reduce that non-value add? How can I increase the value add? And then one example can be somebody comes up with like, oh, let's put some golf carts in the parking lot. And say, for example, my time improved. I could reduce some of these walking times, and I increase some of the value add time with the doctors to 7 minutes. My efficiency changed to 11%. Similarly, I say, okay, doctor on phone. This happened in COVID, with a lot of people, where doctor could come on a video call. It cut all the non-value add. And guess what? We got a process efficiency of 500%. 500%. And say some of the tasks can be done simultaneously, and this is just a hypothetical. 50% efficiency improvement. I mean, so value stream mapping gives you that power to improve processes, to visualize a problem, and then be able to go and improve one at a time. And these, the number of steps, the time taken, the total non-value add, the value add, and then your process efficiency, all of these are your KPIs, the key performance indicators. So this, my friend, I mean, is the best example I can give to understand the powerful tool called value stream mapping, which is a Lean Six Sigma tool from the Lean Six Sigma toolkit. All right, that takes me to the last few slides here. Again, takeaway is we looked at the house of lean pillars. There is a roof on the top, and there is 4 pillars that support it, and then there is a foundation that also supports the roof and the pillars, right, which is your culture. So how can I implement that in an organization is through multiple continuous improvement projects. You just go and do it. Doing is improving. So Kaizen is called continuous improvement, and you really apply some of these learnings that you learn from Lean Six Sigma or what have you. Even just doing a basic okay, what is the problem? How can I improve? What is the problem? Let's do a root cause analysis and go improve it. And have this as a culture, then you will win. And that will be your contribution to the overall operational excellence of your organization. Again, you can really build your levels. There's different ways you can do this. One is, I got this snippet from the ASQ, American Society of Quality, where you can get your yellow belt, green belt, black belt, and master black belt. Again, this is not the only source. There's a ton of people, kind of training on these. So you can choose this. Or if you're from a transactional companies like a banking sector or an IT, you can go and do a scaled agile framework or agile, where all of this, I mean, this is a complicated picture, by the way, but this, if you understand this is very simple when somebody actually speaks to it. But this is using Lean Six Sigma at the core. So there's different ways you can be a better problem solver, and this webinar cannot give you all the answers, of course, but I think, like Julie mentioned, there is some more, there's few more that that you can be part of and learn to grow. So again, hi, I'm gonna hand off to you, Julie. Thank you everyone for your patience, and sorry for rushing at the end, but I just wanted to stick to the time.
Hi, yeah, thanks. I'm back. So thank you, Somraj, for this wonderful talk. I think it was very, very instructive, at least for me. And I wanted to actually open it up to the question, but before that, I have a question myself. Yeah. So you mentioned that there are three aspects to OpEx, which is people, performance, and processes, right? So in your experience, when you implement an OpEx program, which one of these areas has proven to be the most challenging?
That's a great question. For me, I think performance is where the enterprises are lacking. I think they don't build the problem-solving warriors. They have to build that empire. Most of the companies, hire people based on their education and experience, but what they do in the company is problem solving. Mm-hmm. They want to solve the problems. The companies, the enterprises are hiring you to solve the problems faster. That's why you were hired. If not, they could have done it, right? They could have done with somebody else, but you are specifically hired because we think as a company that you have that skill set to solve these problems faster. But what happens is they don't provide the tools for them to be successful. And these skills are not taught in all the schools. And the only part of it, like statistical process control, SPC, SQC, they are taught, but they don't teach the problem solving methods. And you have to upskill yourself, right, on the side, so you become a better problem solver. I think that's where I think the enterprises are lacking. And the best way is look at yourself. Am I solving problems? Am I a value add? How can I be a value add? And where should I invest energy in myself, right? I think that's where enterprises are lacking. And I think especially after COVID, I think a lot of people have identified that as a bottleneck, and they're starting to invest in a lot more capability improvement. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so I don't want to take up too much time because we have an live audience here. So just want to go over the next steps one more time. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'm Julie at smartqed.ai, and we will, you can find Somraj and me on LinkedIn. Please connect and then also follow our company page, because we will be doing another webinar with focus on incident management and problem management. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. That's December 15th. I will send out the announcement on our company page. And if you can, it will be the same process around Pacific time, morning 9 o'clock. And then we upload the recording as well. So the next steps would be, if you have information to share with the community, this is really a community-driven webinar. We are trying to address the concerns and challenges that the community is facing in our work with smartQED, which is, by the way, Somraj, I hope you agree that smartQED, the principle and the philosophy behind smartQED, it has everything to do with operational excellence.
Absolutely. No, I think again, going to that skill set and efficiency, I think that's your niche. That's a niche area, and you're really investing a full product around it. And I'm really excited for your future of the product. So, yes. Yeah.
We wish to make a difference, in reaching those goals. That how do you up your customer service, etc. But anyway, this is not about smartQED. So if you wish to learn more, please reach out to us. Ron has shared his email and mine too on chat. We are also offering team workshops where we sit down with your teams, and Somraj or whoever the industry expert is will go through your custom scenarios and go in depth with hands-on exercises, and at the end of it have a strategic action plan where you can come up with a plan saying, hey, I'm trying to optimize the doctor's, visits, or whatever it is, a product manufacturing or a service delivery, or whatever kind of delivery. So the value stream mapping and how exactly it applies to your scenario would be taken, step by step at these workshops, hands-on, and you come out with a action plan. Because as we saw, without an action plan, you will just have false starts. I found that picture very, very illustrative. And of course, the next step would be to do corporate consulting with one of our experts here. But step by step, I think we can get there together. The goal, I don't think, is in question. Everybody wants operational excellence, right, Somraj?
Absolutely. Any other questions from the participants?
Yeah, audience, I think we will open it up to the audience. Rebecca, Cindy, Austin, Navneet, please feel free to post your question in the chat or unmute yourself and just speak up.
Hi there, thank you for this presentation. I find that Six Sigma, particularly the Kaizen model, really interesting, and it's something that I've used for many years within the insurance industry that I work within. I just wonder if you, in your opinion, there's anything else that you think we could potentially take from other industries and cross-reference those into finance and insurance. I often try and listen to podcasts from, say, leaders in aerospace or logistics for lorries to see whether or not there's anything that I can take away from their operational modelling. But in your opinion, is there anything particularly that works very well?
Thank you for that question, Rebecca. What I have seen is the domain you're talking about, the finance and the banking, the fintech. The great advantage that you have is data. And there are less people who are really capable of analyzing the data and identifying the challenges or even trends or really tracking the improvements and things like that. And again, garbage in, garbage out. It is really the data, if it is not analysis friendly, you can't do much about it. But a basic Excel Pareto diagram, can actually just change your point of view of how your data is structured. And trust me, the Pareto is the most simplest tool. And I work with a company who actually designed analytics technology or analytics software, which their software actually builds Pareto diagram and Pareto charts from a data source, but their employees didn't know what a Pareto is. And I was like blown away. When I did a first workshop on Pareto, I had around 150 people attend, and these are all white collar employees who actually code and develop a technology that does analytics that includes Pareto for their customers. So Rebecca, I would highly recommend, and again, you might already know this, but Pareto, data analysis, histograms, and I think value stream mapping is another tool, very underused. Visualize it, especially finance or insurance companies. A lot of your work is transactional, meaning it happens behind the computer. You cannot see how things flow. You cannot see a defect, and you gotta have a visualization of that. Like one of the tools that we have here, like I showed you. Let me go to that slide quickly. In Six Sigma, we looked at the toolkit. Yeah, you're right here. So look up these tools. I mean, you can take a screenshot of this. Look up these tools called swim lane diagram, right? It tells you how how the steps move and hand off between different teams and finally gets from like start to end. The more handoffs you have, the more defects can happen. So how do you reduce that handoffs? How do you change your processes so there's less handoffs and also there's chunks of handoffs more than going back and forth? Another one is Poka-yoke. This is another easy one. It's called foolproofing. Oh, I forgot to send a document to my customer. Oh, I forgot to ask them a document during a incident management, or the customers don't have a method to select what is the defect type because I didn't provide to them. So that's called Poka-yoke, and that's another amazing tool. Again, there's a lot of material out there you can really research, but I think specific to your question, Pareto, value stream mapping, swim lane, and Poka-yoke really will be the tools that you can actually use to improve.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I really like the idea of the value stream mapping, so I'll definitely be looking more into that. That's incredible. Thank you so much.
No problem, Vivek. And again, we're all there as a resource on LinkedIn. Thanks to LinkedIn, how we get connected, and I'll be able to help you out if you need any help further on these topics. So thank you. Any other questions?